Get it. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Rocco?
Here.
Commissioner Chisholm?
Here.
Commissioner Beckwourth is absent. Commissioner Algieri?
Here.
Commissioner Roderick?
Here.
Commissioner Boyer?
Here.
President Walk?
Here. To acknowledge we had an executive session on February 17th at 6 p.m. and this evening at 6 p.m. to talk about personnel and litigation issues. First note, girls swim team won the Class 2 WPIL championship. That's really amazing. That is some big The second item is a shout out to Sarah baseball team and their parents. They did a great job reconditioning the ball field in Boston. Really big effort there. Next, thanks to Mr. Rakunas, Mr. Snelson, and Mr. Butler for preparation of the 3 ordinances that we will vote on tonight. They've been working on this for a long time. It is a big effort. Thanks, guys. Also, thanks to the Park and Recreation Committee and Mr. Rakunas and Mrs. Whiteman for completion of the Recreation and Parks policy. That's quite an involved process. They did a great job. They did it really fast. Thanks to Mr. Rakunas also for updating the hiring policy, which will be voted on tonight. All right, we're ready to move on to department reports. Code enforcement.
Outside of my written report, I also gave you some information on a current proposed demo list with different information on it. If anyone has any questions.
I do not. Engineer.
We're currently working on DEP Part 2 permit comment responses, and those responses will be submitted by March 9th. We held a meeting with Trail Council to discuss the project and the landslide issues, and we'll be working together with them to address these issues during construction. A Penvest pre-planning meeting was held February 11th at DEP, and to determine if the project is eligible for Penvest financing, should you choose to go that direction. The Greenwald Farm Stormwater Project, the contractor has completed installation of the pipe and inlets, and additional restoration work remains to be completed, weather permitting. On your demolitions contract, to date, one of the houses has been demoed. Asbestos abatement is currently in progress for the remaining 4. Currently preparing contract documents for your road paving program for 2020. We're coordinating with the water company and the gas company. And for the Forest Hill road slides, we are currently reviewing this with Howe Engineers. They're a geotechnical engineering firm. Any questions?
Questions? Thank you. Police?
For the month of February, there were 784 events logged by Allegheny County 911 for our department. There were 6 adult arrests, 4 juvenile arrests, for a total of 10. Officers conducted 136 traffic stops, issued 9 traffic citations. There were 14 motor vehicle crashes, 6 reportable, 8 non-reportable, with 4 injuries as a result of these crashes. One of the accidents was DUI related. Training, Officer Novosek, Patterson, and Bride Massey attended a narcotics identification kit certification training that was hosted by our department on February 4th. Officer Novosek attended K-9 First Aid training on February 11th. Sergeant Sinbad, Officer McBride attended FEMA Mobile Field Force recertification training for the Shake Cog support team on February 13th. And Sergeant Blake, Officer McCosey, and Officer Schellenberger attended MOPEC mandatory update training on February 26th and 27th.
Thank you, Chief. Any word on the potential for the cameras down to Boston?
I just spoke with Lori Delaney from DA's office on Friday, where I checked up on it. She had already sent it to the, I believe I told somebody there was gonna be a delay because they were looking at the hardware issues that they had with some of the cameras being hacked. So while I was on the phone with her, she said she already sent it to Jason Miller, who's going around. He's another company trying to correct this problem. While I was on the phone with her, she dug out our request, and she said she was gonna send him off to them again, so he can come out and look at it. He said there's a lot of requests,
Yeah.
standards, but that's where we're at on those.
Okay. Good, moving forward then. That's great. Public Works.
Report for February 2020, there was 91 calls come into the office, I think we got 90. And we had 6 days, all we did was nothing but salt and patrol ice conditions because of the cold weather. And we've got 5 catch basins repaired, plus 30 feet of pipe replaced, with coal patching throughout the township, and continuing trimming trees on Boyd's Hollow. And there was 5 different issues we got corrected in the garage for the insurance company. Is situations that were listed last year when they did their inspection. And we were off 3 times.
Good. All right, thank you. Solicitor.
Other than the resolutions and ordinances that I prepared for this evening, I also have prepared an ordinance dealing with residential solar. If there's no objection, I'd like to go ahead and send that on to our planning for comment and push that forward, so if everyone's okay with that?
Please do.
Okay, other than that, I have nothing else to report.
Sanitary, Bill and Water.
Thank you. You all have our written report for February of 2020. For the month of February, we treated close to 55 million gallons, averaging around 1.9 million gallons per day. Our max flow was 2.5 million gallons in February 7th. We disposed of 66,000 gallons of sludge, and with the analytical that we have back so far from February, we're in full compliance. I can address any questions.
Questions? Thank you, Dennis. Office Manager.
So I just want to announce that the annual Easter egg hunt will be held on Saturday, April 11th at 11:30 a.m. at our municipal building. We'll start publishing that on Facebook and on our website. I want to let the board know, if you notice in your bill warrant, the Durnosh flow monitoring service has gone up $640 a month, but they have not raised their rates since 2007. So they didn't have an option here. The last thing I have for you are the fund balances to be read into the minutes. General fund, township general fund, $326,673.63. Township capital reserve, $1,717,827.42. Liquid fuels, $693,592.24. Project fund, $1,171,712.81. Fire levy, $3,161.39. Sanitary general fund, $1,774,569.53. And sanitary capital reserve, $213,760.41.
Thank you. All right, move on to committee reports. Recreation, Dr. Rocco.
Yeah, just a brief report, and again, echo what you said, Mr. President, earlier, and thank Mr. Coons for our help with putting together the rec policy, as well as Joelle for her assistance in putting this together, and the committee, Rich and Joanne as well, for sitting in and really working through this, again, without having a set policy in plan. It's just basically having the information there, and putting it all together. So that's going to be hopefully approved this evening, but again, just wanted to thank the folks that helped to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rocco. Andrew, talk about your wonderful work here in gathering cash.
Okay, so, I hope I'm not beating a dead horse, but, And I'm not on the recreation committee, but one of the projects that the previous board of commissioners started at the end of last year was putting in a dog park in Elizabeth Township. And Keysport just put one in, West Mifflin just put one in. They're owned by the municipality, they're not owned by the county. And one of the projects that the previous board decided to move forward with was, looking into getting this project done. Huntley donated $70,000 for this project. We own an adjacent piece of property to the municipal building. We're 38 acres, so we need about 1.5 to do this project. We have the money to do it, we have the plans, we have everything ready. In addition to that, I'm a frequent patron of the Pittsburgh Symphony down in Pittsburgh. And every time you go there, they give you a half-inch packet of all their sponsors of corporations who donate money to their organization. I called 3 of them, and between the 3 of them, they committed $50,000 to the project. Not that we need all that. I communicated to them that we would do it in stages with playgrounds. We don't have one tennis court in Elizabeth Township. We don't have one volleyball court, nothing. So just between 3 organizations, $50,000. The issue is one of them needs a grant application filed by March 30th. So it's either do it now, it's either now or never, because our next commissioner meeting is in April. So I know that Chaplain Drive has been a hot topic, and my counterpart, Ms. Beckwith, isn't here to talk about it, but we authorized the contractor to clear the 2 acres. We checked between Joel and Paul Twiley with 84 lumber, it would cost $4,000 to build a pavilion. PD American is willing to donate the water line and the fountain. They just asked me what date we want to deliver. And then we would need a few benches, and that was it. But the only thing that we would need to do to take action on is to bid out the fence.
No, I'm for it, I think we move on. We didn't have any discussion on this recently. I think it's a good idea to start to create some interest in Chaplain Drive. It does get ahead of comprehensive plan, which there is not yet a comprehensive plan. But how much money could we potentially lose if we don't move on?
If we don't file the grant by March 30th, $30,000.
And that was with two organizations?
Well, I'd rather not say yet.
Okay,
But
I got you.
very credible.
True, they are.
Yeah.
Any other comment from the board? I think that's it.
Well, I'll begin. I don't know, is this grant limited to certain use? Or these grants specifically designed or built around recreation? I'm for waiting to do anything once this comprehensive plan is in. And, I looked at, I wasn't here last meeting, but I had talked to the folks from the park. There's other communities that you mentioned that have dog parks, do not have a county park. We do. I spoke to Chris Rowland from the county. He is very much interested in pursuing us putting that park there. And if you walk the park, as I do, there are a lot of folks that are bringing their dogs there. So again, if this money's for other things, I think it's appropriate to go for it. But if it's just defined for that, I have some opposition or some concerns about moving with that, considering that we have a wonderful park at Round Hill and that the availability of resources there can be helpful. And it's also building that relationship with the county, which I think is extremely important for us, that in my past experience, not seeing that. So I'm about building relationships and hopefully looking at that as a possible extension of how we work together and cooperatively moving forward. But that would be my comment.
Question, Dr. Rocco. When you talked to Allegheny County, did they express any interest in actually talking more about that?
Yes.
So there definitely is interest in
Yes.
that? Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I was kind of concerned, because I saw that in the minutes someone said there wasn't any interest, but there was interest. And again, I think that we need to keep our options open. Certainly, I want to do things for the people in the community. But I am really, being here, and one of the things that I talked about, I think, early on was, this comprehensive plan is critical for our future growth. And looking at that, those kinds of things take time, they do. I think we have bids out, those are to be due Friday, I believe. I think, that process will take some time, but I think the long-term benefit of having a plan such as that would be of great value to us. And again, it might lead to some of those things that you're talking about, but also looking at other resources out there that could benefit the township.
And for these grants, are they specific for dog park or recreation?
So they have specific purposes that, you know, recreation could be included or not, but they would construe their criteria to fit what we want to do.
I commend you for going out and looking at those things. I think that's good.
The issue I have is, we have been planning Chapel Drive for 12 years. Literally. At one point, it was gonna be a library. At one point, it was gonna be a deck hockey rink. At one point, there were gonna be 4 baseball fields and 4 soccer fields. And $750,000 later, and 12 years later, we're still with the same piece of land that we haven't done anything with. We're limited because there are deed restrictions in that property because we purchased it with GCNR grant funding. It can only be used for recreation, it cannot be used for anything else unless you pursue a conversion. And we investigated that last year and it was not a feasible thing to do. The other thing that limits your use at Chapel Drive is the topography. Anytime you move land, it's an enormous expense. There is one almost level piece of land up there that I mentioned to Huntley and Huntley, would it be possible to turn it into a soccer field, because it's almost rectangular. The cost, because they already have the bulldozers on fallen timber, the cost of raising the one corner up to make a level surface was $400,000. So you're limited in that it has to be recreation, and the topography, it has to be something that doesn't have to be level. So, I mean, what can you do with that? Walking trails, pavilions, volleyball, tennis courts, dog park, like you're limited to recreation, and then in addition, you have to do something that goes with the topography. And whenever you have the plans done, the money done, and you're ready to pull the trigger after 12 years.
Yeah, so the other thing about the dog park is it's in a wooded area, it's away from that flat usable property, so it makes use of, an area that would not normally be used up there. The other thing is with the dog park, you could basically consider that a movable object, because really all you'd have to do is move the fence. And it's not a great expenditure, and it does get people interested in starting to go there. The dog park in, at Round Hill, that really makes a lot of sense though too, because you have the police there to look after anything that might happen. They have an on-site maintenance crew to pick up the you-know-what. And there's pros for both of these options.
I just think this would be a catalyst. If we finally broke around and did something there, then next year we do the walking, or even this fall, do the walking trails and start putting in pavilions, and have a half-inch pamphlet of corporations that donate to 501c3s. Take advantage of that and get the whole thing paid for without taxpayer money.
I don't want to kick the can any longer. We've been kicking the can on this for a long time. Joanne's not here to vote on this, and this is really important to her. That would be a real disservice, I feel, to take a vote right now on this without her being here. But that being said, I'll entertain a motion to move forward with this dog park.
I'll make a motion to advertise for the fencing for a 1.5 acre dog park.
That's just a motion to advertise for the fencing. It doesn't tie us into anything, guys. So
I'll second that motion, just to see what the cost is.
Yeah, it doesn't cost us anything to do this.
I'd be curious where it came in.
Yeah.
And my question is, with this motion, would that allow me to move forward with pursuing this grant? So I don't want to pursue a grant and have a check for $30,000 and have to give it back.
I guess we gotta find out what the grant, what everything we could use the grant for. Is it just limited to the dog park?
Could it be for recreation, for community park?
I'll give you a quick example. Part of it is educational. So they said in order to tailor for a pavilion, call it an outdoor education center. So they wanted to, so they have certain criteria that don't have to fit recreation, but they would construe what we want to do in our favor. Like they would apply their rules and construe them in favor.
is there any information we can get to look at that? Like, as far, because that would be definitely helpful, Andrew, because I think it's a great thing, but I would like to actually look at the information and kind of see what's what and go from there. But, I'm all for seeing what the fence costs, because I think that would be a good starting point, but at the same time, I agree with Dr. Rocco, like, I'd like to explore the options and look at it, because I think the dog park's a great idea, and Andrew, I commend you for it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, like, if you, I said I'm being a dead horse, if you wanna kill this, that's fine. But after how many hours I spent calling people, talking to people, the hours that the previous board spent on this, that's fine. But I just need to know to stop working, I'll stop, that's
Well,
fine.
but I don't think anybody's saying to kill it or not to kill it. I think everybody's saying, let's look at the options and go from there, because the one thing, and we do have to task the solicitor also, because, Dr. Watt, President Watt brought up a good point about the police patrolling it, things like that. Like, what other municipalities have as far as complaints, issues, lawsuits, different things? And I think that we need to task the solicitor to look at that also. You know what I mean? And if there are liabilities that are there, then we have to weigh the pros and cons of that too. But I'm just not one to jump into something until we look at all the different options. But again, I'm not against it, Andrew, but I'm not saying to kill it at all. I mean, that's not.
All well said. We have a motion on the floor to, just put out a bid for the fencing. And,
Let's go.
you have a second?
Rich second.
Rich seconded, roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
No.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Watt?
Yes. Okay, any other committee reports? Anybody else want to talk about the committee efforts? Committee's been working really well here, and I'm really pleased with this group. All right, we're moving on to citizens to address agenda items. This is a point in the meeting where the board encourages our residents to provide comments and questions. So please remember that 3 minutes have been allotted for you to provide your information. The board is not necessarily able to respond tonight. This is not the purpose of this part of the meeting. If you have a question, please complete the questionnaire form and give it to Joel. This is the same form that can be found on the township's website. We will do our best to resolve your question in a timely manner, depending on the complexity of the issue. We thank you for your participation. We as a board believe that resident participation will make Elizabeth Township a better place to live. That being said, Fred Bickerton.
Fred Becker, 256 Lexington. Yeah, I'd just like to ask that the board have some discussion on the motions that they have to adopt ordinances and resolutions tonight on each one, to go into a little bit of detail so that the public knows what you're doing. I mean, I've heard it. We have 3 ordinances here. Nobody seems to, other than a few people here, have seen them. Also like to have some discussion on items 10, 12, 17, and also on item 14. Sorry, I think $30 an hour is a bit steep for a maintenance employee. And I'm curious as to why this position was not put on the website and advertised. Does anyone like to comment on any of these things? Can we, whenever you bring it out, can we open it up? People have questions?
We'll discuss those. We'll have a discussion on the issue as they come up.
Okay, will the public have a chance to say anything?
This is your opportunity. This is public
Well,
comment.
we don't know anything about it.
It's the public comment for agenda items, so that they are what they are.
Well, then none of these agenda items, none of the
You've been to
ordinances
enough
and
meetings,
resolutions should be
you know
voted on
it's
tonight,
not
as the public
something
has
that comes
some
up, so it will.
chance to comment on.
This is your chance to comment on. Here they are. They're on the agenda.
What are they?
What do you want? What do you want to know? They're gonna go over on each motion, they go over like they do for every meeting. So what do you want to know?
The ordinance on blight?
I'd like to have
The one on each.
the public be aware of each one of those ordinances and each of those motions in detail. And if somebody has a problem with it, they should be able to say something.
Well, I think your comment is you want the board to discuss it as they come up and tell you what they are, then it will be discussed, certainly.
And I'm asking if the
It doesn't
public
work
has
that
some
way.
question that they.
It doesn't, that's not the structure of any public meeting, that's not how it works. Anywhere, Fred.
No transparency.
Okay.
Hide it all.
Carol Daly.
Before you start the countdown, I just wanted to say thank you for the sympathy card and the recognition you gave to Tim at one of the October meetings. It was very kind of you. Tim did live his life according to the Beatitudes. And he lived his life according to God's laws, and he respected God's laws. And I appreciated you mentioning him. That was very kind of you. I also have a comment about the resolution 7. I don't know what it is. And is it going to be in conjunction with the ordinances that are currently for the amusement? And should it be an ordinance instead of a resolution? You're calling it a policy, but if you're making any changes or additions, I think it should be
Carol,
an
can you
ordinance.
qualify what your question is? I'm not sure.
You're talking about
referring to-
resolution 2027 about the amusement policy?
I misunderstood. I thought you said.
Recreation.
Yeah, okay.
It's a recreation policy.
Okay, and you also have an ordinance with it, I mean, you do have an ordinance for it, so I don't know, yeah, it's called Township of Elizabeth Amusement Device, it's called a tax ordinance, however, it's all about the amusements. Games, chance, well, they're not calling it games of chance, they're calling it gambling and everything else, it's an ordinance. The defined definitions of amusement device, applicant for license. You also have an application for these licenses. It's about a 6-page application, I have it here for you. So if you're doing policies for amusement, what are you doing with the ordinance that's already in place? This is an ordinance, you have a policy. It's not the same thing. It can't be a resolution, it has to be an ordinance. You either amend the ordinance with a text amendment, or you have an ordinance to drop the ordinance that you already have, and submit a new ordinance, but you can't have a resolution. A resolution is just something, you increase, decrease payments, something minor. Nobody knows what you're talking about because nobody knows what these so-called policies are. And if you're planning on if someone is planning on using that ordinance, that policy to have a indoor amusement up by where the dog grooming places, and you got a church across the street, and you have the daycare center, and they're using monetary, we don't know, is it monetary payouts? I don't know. We don't know anything. Again, as Fred said, we know nothing. Nothing. You would have thought you would have had them typed out back here so we can read them. But you're going to have to do something about it. Now I spent all my time explaining it to you, and now I want my 3 minutes, but I'd like my 3 minutes back so I can finish what I wanted to comment on.
I'll make one comment, actually, back to Fred, though.
I can't,
These
I want
ordinances-
my 3 minutes back because I was
The
explaining the house.
ordinances, as you guys, everybody knows, yes, she's done. The ordinances,
Oh,
everybody
no, I'm
knows,
fine.
are advertised in the newspaper, okay? And if anyone would like a copy of them before they're adopted to know what they are, there's a thing in the advertisement that says you can contact the solicitor. And you can actually contact Joelle. We have them here. If you come when the agenda is posted, or when you see that advertisement, which goes into the paper at least a week before this meeting, you can have a copy to see what those ordinances are. And I will go one step further.
I had the copy sitting at the front counter.
The copies were also at the front counter. And in addition, I would offer, in addition, I would offer to anybody in the public that if you see a policy that's on here, okay, which would not be advertised, call me. I'll be glad to send it to you, or call Ms. Whiteman. She'll be glad to give you a copy. So, you know, you have options. We're not trying to hide anything here. But at the same time, we can't be spending all of our time asking everybody and telling everybody what everything is. The information is there. If you would like it, please, we'll be glad to give it to you. Ordinances are advertised, they're at my office, they're here. Policies are here, they're at my office. Call me. No, that's
Nothing on the Leah Manager?
Hi guys, Leah Heminger, 4 Colonial Drive. I'll be honest, I don't actually know which ordinance this falls into, but I'm here representing Boston Field. I had heard through the grapevine, and perhaps it was in the paper, that there is a charge coming to use the field, possibly in the spring or in the fall. I'm not sure which one. But I just wanted to just make a note that for the past 10 seasons, we've had an Elizabeth Ward co-ed softball league, as well as other groups that play on the field for free. 140 adults, ages 18 through 70, play every Sunday. We use the field, we fix the field, we manage the field, we chip in for field equipment. And I'm all for any kind of charge down the road. But I did just want to make a request that our spring season is well underway and we have already started everything. So it seemed like a late time to go ahead and enact any kind of fee to use the field for this spring. So that's all my comments is. Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna wait for, you did one agenda right now too?
Hey, Kyle, I signed the sheet, what the heck am I?
It's non-agenda.
Pardon?
It's not, you're non-agenda. It's at the end.
Oh, at the end,
Okay,
okay.
at the end.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Move on over. Motion to adopt ordinance 953, adopting Pennsylvania Act 90, known as the Neighborhood Blight Revitalization Act. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second. Discussion?
John? Go ahead and give us free summary.
Want me to read summary?
Yeah.
Okay, this is an ordinance adopting Act 90 of Pennsylvania. It was originally adopted in 2012 by Pennsylvania. The township never actually adopted it. It basically gives the township some different options to combat blight on vacant structures, neglected structures, go after landlords and different things. We're simply adopting state Act 90.
Thank you, John. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Chisholm?
Yes.
Commissioner Alfieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance 954, providing for the issuance of tickets for offenses governed by the Elizabeth Township Code of Ordinances.
So moved.
Discussion.
Okay, this ordinance, basically, allows the township a different avenue to get compliance with violations for certain, sections of the township code, including animal control, international property maintenance code, littering, vegetation, health hazards and nuisances, storage of motor vehicles, and housing. What this does is, our current, process is a violation is issued to the property owner or offending person. They're given a reasonable date to correct it. If they do not correct it by that date, they're issued a non-traffic citation, and it proceeds through the magistrates, which is a slower process. This process simply allows us
to issue basically what's called quality of life ticket to the person, penalizing the person a smaller fine per day to correct the violation. Then if they fail to pay the ticket, then they can be issued a state citation and taken to the magistrate. It's very similar to issuing a township parking.
Thank you, John. Any questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walker?
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance 955, providing for the registration of foreclosed properties within the township.
Make a motion?
Second.
Okay, this ordinance, as described, will require banks, lenders, and other institutions to register with the township any properties that meet the definition of a foreclosed property under the ordinance, which they would then be required to provide us with a local contact person and somebody that would be responsible for maintaining the property and correcting any violations we find. And also, they would be required to pay a registration fee to register the property every 6 months.
Okay, thank you. Any other further questions from the board? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walker?
Yes. Under resolutions, motion to adopt resolution 2020-06, adopting all Elizabeth Township Sanitary Authority resolutions.
So moved.
Second.
So this is a resolution, as you guys know, the ETSA was dissolved back in 2013. They, at that time, prior to that time, had managed all sanitary procedures and everything, managed the sanitary system for the township. Since that time, they've been dissolved. They had several resolutions in place, such as rate resolutions, policies, things that govern how the sanitary is run. And it was requested that we basically adopt those policies. So we're using them anyway. So this is just a more formal process of actually, formally adopting. That way, if someone has a question and says, "Wait a minute, this says ETSA on it. How are you implementing it?" This is sort of that transition. So these are policies which we're implementing as we are, anyway, right now.
Any questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walker?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2020-07, establishing Elizabeth Township recreation policies.
Motion.
Second.
As we discussed earlier, these are the policies which we've set up for township recreation policies that will govern how they're used. We just have never had a policy in place for as many recreational facilities and fields that we have. We've never actually had policies in place. So this is what we came up with, and the committee recommends it, and I recommend it, and that's what's on the table.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walker?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2020-08, adopting the amended hiring policy.
Motion.
Second.
So this is the amended hiring policy that we put together. As you guys would know, the prior policy was very rigid, required even for part-time or seasonal, anybody that you hired in the township, they had to go through a rigorous level of several interviews, several advertisements. So for some of these part-time positions, things that just didn't make any sense, spending the money, spending all the time to, narrow it down to 6 people, and, you had to go through this whole process. So I amended the policy to be a little bit more flexible, particularly in some of those part-time or lesser positions that don't really need to go through that rigorous process. So that's what's on the floor.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Walker?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2020-09, adopting the updated fee schedule.
Motion.
Second.
These are just changes. Phase 4. Community center and
questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Items for consideration. Motion to approve Commissioners' meeting minutes dated February 3rd, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to approve the general fund bill warrant dated March 2nd, 2020 in the amount of $399,285.86.
So moved. Second.
Any questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to approve the sanitary fund bill warrant dated March 2nd, 2020 in the amount of $175,785.40.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to approve sanitary bond direct number 72 in the amount of $7,471.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to approve change order number 2, final, in the amount of $15,405 for the 2019 paving program contract number 2019-02.
So moved.
I'll second. Questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to approve pay application number 1, final, from Independent Enterprises, Inc., in the amount of $377,330 for the 2019 paving program contract number 2019-02 to be paid from liquid fuels.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to approve, deny conditional use application submitted by Harold Smith for a single-family home in an SC district.
So moved.
Second.
For approval.
For approval.
Oh, I gotta pick.
Sorry.
Motion to, I'll entertain a motion to approve the conditional use application submitted by Harold Smith for a single-family home in an SC district.
Court made the motion.
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah, second.
Any discussion on that? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to advertise the 2020 paving program.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to advertise RFP, request for proposal for towing services.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to ratify approval of credit for sewage account ETS 100633924 in the amount of $5,262.72.
So moved.
I'll second.
This was a credit to, due to a significant water line break, so this is a sanitary credit, due to that line break. So you get charged based on your water usage, there was a leak, so they didn't actually use any sewage, so there's a credit due on that.
And just for clarification, this is something we've done in the past several
is.
times on the road, so.
And also for clarification, they did have a heck of a water bill that they had to pay. All right, we we got a second? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Aguirre?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Abstain.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to set the time and place for public hearing on a conditional use application for commercial indoor recreation at 605 Scenery Drive.
So moved.
Second.
Can you amend the motion? I would suggest a date of April sixth, which is our next meeting at 6:30 for that conditional use hearing. If that works for everyone, sort of like we did the one this evening.
Yep, I agree on the motion.
Motion's amended to include that hearing on April 6th at 6:30. Do we have a second on that one yet? We're all good?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Aguirre?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Abstain.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to enter into an agreement with Property Registration Champions LLC for the registration of foreclosed properties within the township.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Aguirre?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to approve proclamation designating April 2020 as Pennsylvania 811 Safe Digging Month.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to hire Jeff Smith as part-time community center maintenance employee at the hourly rate of $30 per hour.
So moved.
Is there a cap on the time? How long they're looking?
I'll second the motion. Answer your question, we haven't discussed that, we're gonna look at that as it goes along. Answer to Fred's question about thinking that's a lot of money for an hourly rate, this person's gonna be bringing their own tools, this is a bargain. Ask a lot of people about the people that work for them, and they're $45 and up when they're bringing their own tools. This will be part-time, I don't expect it, they'll be working more than 4 or 5 hours a day, couple 4 days a week. I'm gonna be the on-site watching them kind of guy, because I like fixing stuff too. So they'll be using my tools and his tools, and we're gonna get that fixed cleaned up. This is a great deal.
It's well needed, so.
What's that?
It's well needed. It's in disrepair.
Oh, yeah.
If we don't start taking care of that place, we're not gonna have a place to.
Exactly.
And this isn't just a maintenance, this is like a contractor bringing his own tool, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like a guy sweeping floors, this is a guy that is, you know, doing roof work and whatever.
All righty, roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yeah.
Commissioner Aguirre?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to hire Jessica Gronlund at the rate of $10 per hour for the 2020 summer internship.
So moved.
Second.
Joey, what's everybody what that's for? It's a great idea.
Yeah, it's the code enforcement, intern that we talked about in the last meeting before, where she's gonna help assess, all of the blight in the township and come up with a list of how to tackle it, with different ideas, different resources, and rate it. She can do a number of things for the code enforcement department that they don't have the time to do right now.
Good deal. Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Aguirre?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to authorize office manager to close Elizabeth Township Canine Fund and move balance to general fund.
So moved.
Second.
Just for public purposes, what's the balance of that account?
$90.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Aguirre?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Wong?
Yes. Motion to approve the field maintenance reimbursement agreement to EFYA for the township fields.
2017.
Wow. Yeah, I printed that. Sorry, this one. Motion to authorize Joel Whiteman, Office Manager, and Dan Poyer, Commissioner and Chair. Chair of Finance to open accounts with Pliget.
So moved.
Second.
Define Pliget, Joel, please.
Dan, you wanna take this one?
So right now, we have all of our lawn funds invested with a firm, and we've been getting charged about $65,000 a year. Joelle, through her mentorship program through some of the other municipalities, found out that there's a group out there called Pliget. It's a nonprofit that just deals with municipalities, school districts only. Those fees go from $65,000 down to zero with the same rate of return or better. So it's a good thing. The reason that's authorizing myself and Joelle on there, we're not gonna be, I won't be a signer on the account. We're just authorizing the okay for us to go ahead and open the account with Pliget. It'll be the same signatures as the other normal accounts.
Yeah, we won't be able to sign any checks, as authorized, individuals, we'll be able to make deposits, transfer funds, open the account, sign the paperwork to get the accounts open. They suggested that somebody else be on the account besides just the office manager, and doesn't have any staff to really put on that account, so I suggested the sheriff and they said that was a good move.
Just as a clarification, the current person that we're funding with, Matt, it was a legal question. Do we terminate their agreement, or how does that work, or?
Yeah, I think, we'll have to work
Have to
on
look
it,
at
yeah,
that.
definitely.
Yeah.
And this motion is general, so that if you, it's for bonds, it's
Right.
for the recreation, or capital, whatever funds.
Yeah, this will allow you to open the accounts, and then we'll work on the transition.
I just wanted to commend Dan too for bringing that to the attention.
Actually, Joelle.
Thanks. Thanks.
Okay, way to go, guys. All righty, roll call?
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kizma?
No.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Robert?
Yes. Commissioner
Poyer?
Yes.
President Watt?
Yes. Motion to approve the field maintenance reimbursement agreement to EFYA for the township fields with reasonable expenditures to be paid upon review and recommendation by the Township Finance Committee. EFYA to provide the last 2 years of financials and current EFYA bylaws. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Rocco?
Yes.
Commissioner Kizma?
Yes.
Commissioner Algieri?
Yes.
Commissioner Robert?
Yes.
Commissioner Poyer?
Yes.
President Watt?
Yes. Okay, that concludes that. We're gonna move on to non-agenda comments. I don't have to read my public comment statement again.
Hey, Cal, I didn't sign up because there was a subject for the agenda item that I didn't know was going to be there. So I would like to speak after everybody's done.
Okay. Mr. Jones?
I'll talk loud enough so everybody can hear me here. Okay, I got a couple of questions here. The KOH representative was supposed to come to my property along with the commissioner to check these dogwood trees that were planted in my yard. As far as I know, nobody came to my property to check these trees. They were improperly planted, they're not doing worth a darn. I had Grandview Nursery come over and take a look at the situation, and she told me they were badly planted. That should be the contractor's responsibility, not the township's responsibility. I was not impressed with this here contractor we had here. They went and put the mesh on my yard with grass seed in, biodegradable mesh. They're full of crap, it's not biodegradable. That mesh will stay in my yard for at least 10 years, I already checked that out. Somebody ought to get the whole that outfit there from the Boesberg. They were useless. They work a little bit on my property and they come back, mine in the Lorraine's area. They ought to be subject to taking care of these problems. Those trees are totally unacceptable how they planted them there. And I can't accept that. Taxpayers pay for that, I'm a taxpayer. I want the trees replaced. Also, I talked to Jim Brewster and he had a representative come to my house about this water problem come from Skyview. Approximately 30, 40 years ago, I've been township resident for 75 years now. They had a water problem here in the township. I mean, they had people put their downspouts into the sanitation system. They checked it all out and had them take them out of this sewer system. Whenever they did that, that's when we all got this problem with the water. Mr. Brewster told me that whenever they did that, they should have directed them people where to put their water. Not down in Jim Jones' property, not down in Tom Sharkey's property. It is still flowing down there. And that's a bunch of hogwash, because he assured me that the township did wrong by having them put the water down our way. And he was very nice about it, and he had a representative come over and take a look at my whole property. Because in my basement, I had Howcraft come over to my house, check my wall, hydraulic pressure from the water. My wall was sunk. And that's pretty damn bad. I've been township of this resident all these years, and this is all happening to me. So thus far, I like to have them trees planted. I like to have that mesh taken out of my yard. I requested that in the past. It's not been done yet. What that will do is getting caught in my lawnmower and create a problem. And something else I want to mention that with comment, you made a comment about I planted grass seed in the trench. I did not plant the grass seed in the trench. That's a stupid contractor put the grass seed in the trench. I was not impressed with their work at all, period. Because the department, from the DEP person I talked to, assured me that that should not have been done like that.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Russell Burbank.
Russell Burbank, 325 High Street. I just have a quick question here. I understand the township has gas leases with Olympus Gas Company. I was wondering if the township has received any royalties on those leases yet?
Yeah,
How much money have we received?
We just got another check this week that I have not reported in this yet. But royalties, payment of $2,654.43, $2,654.43, $598,774.95.
that's not on royalties, that was on the original.
Mineral ownership bonus
Yeah, that was on the original.
Yeah, so
Correct.
for royalties, there's two that have come in and one more is on my desk. As of today.
If you don't mind me asking, how much have we received total for everything?
$1,053,754.84.
And the money that's coming in from the royalties, how is that being spent? Is that going into the general fund or?
Yeah, there's specific, you can only use that money for specific items.
It is deposited in the general fund, and it is.
Oh, that's not impact money, I'm
That's
sorry.
not impact
Yeah,
money.
okay, never mind, I'm sorry, my bad, no, we can use it for whatever.
Yeah.
We'll also be getting impact fee money, if we haven't already, so we'll get monies from
Have
the
we
state.
received any impact fee money yet?
I think last year we received around $8,000, $6,000 or $8,000 off the top of my head. I have a budget here if you want.
Yeah, but we haven't received any this year yet.
No, it's.
So we've received, what, like $6,000 in royalty fees out of the 3 checks?
I think the check on my desk is for $30,000.
30,000.
Yeah, I could be wrong, I don't have it in front of me.
We can get, sure, we can get you that information.
Question.
Fees,
Just something you wanted to know.
last year, $8,067 is what we received.
$8,000, okay. I just wanted to have everybody know that the township is getting money from all those wells that went in out there. It is covering some of the expenses that would have to be covered by taxes otherwise.
Thank you. Good point, Russell.
Thank you. Mr. Grice?
Ted Grice, 1645 Senior Drive. So I guess the format of basically an agenda coming out on a Friday, and then the meeting coming on a Monday, and then not knowing what the various things are, if you're not able to pick it up in the paper, and yes, apparently a phone call can be launched to you, or I can come and look at what's going on. Is there any way that all the times that there are these ordinances and resolutions and things like that, that they're posted on the website so that I can not only see the agenda, but I can also see specifically what they are? So if I come to have a question about something, that there's no way to have ordinances that are posted in the newspaper be posted on the website.
Until they're, so, I'm not sure what you're asking. You want us, you're saying, is there a way for you to access a draft ordinance before it's adopted?
Is there a way to understand what the draft ordinance?
Come here and ask.
Yeah, but I don't even know it's coming until late Friday when the stuff is out there. I think that's Saturday. What,
You can call me or ask Joe.
what I'm saying is that advertisement that's in the newspaper cannot be put,
It's a week, it has to be a week before the meeting.
is it spelled out as what that ordinance is, or it says there isn't? I'm saying,
Yeah,
when
it
you
says what
post,
the ordinance is. It'll say, or like whatever you read on here.
so what I'm saying is, not only have it in the newspaper, but have it on the township's website as well, so that I don't have to try to figure out what those things are. Is it impossible to go ahead and do that?
idea. Have it on social media.
Well, I've asked before if you guys, large discussion
Is there any way
items,
this can stop for a second before?
ordinances, resolutions, anything of that nature, if you guys wanted me to put even just a brief statement, you know, we're not obligated to, but we can put something on Facebook that says, you know, at this meeting, we're gonna be discussing adopting Act 90, just to let everybody know what's coming, so if they are interested, or whatever's on the table. We don't have to do that, it's up to the board if they want us to do that.
Doesn't hurt.
I think it's a good idea.
That's on the township website.
Well, you can put it on the Facebook page, and I don't know where we can fit it on the website, it's a little
We
FYI.
could, the website's a little more involved since we
Yeah.
fixed the water issues with it. Greg does most of the updating on Joe will do some, I will do some. A lot of times with the website depends on the amount of time we have to check.
Yeah, I mean, the other end of that is like just the administrative time. I mean, no offense, I mean, Joel is like spread thin already. I know you're really spread thin. So I mean, yours, it's more, I mean, I'm not against it. I'm certainly, there's ways for you to get it that are legal and out there. I'm not opposed to putting it on the website. I'm just saying that if on Friday evening, she has a hard enough time even getting the agenda together. I mean, it's a process, trust me, with the committee heads, with working through me. I mean, it is a process to get all that together. And then you're gonna put on top of that, oh, Joel, make sure you're uploading all these ordinances. And I know she sometimes gets complaints if things aren't exactly right from people out there. So if she doesn't get out there, I'm afraid now you're putting an extra strain on the admin. It's just something to think about. I think it's something that certainly the committees can handle and discuss and figure out who would do it, you know, I think there's a little more to it.
I'm just saying that whenever the newspaper article is put out there, you already have it created.
It's like in regards
You know,
to
what you're saying, I'm talking about the actual.
3 ordinances we passed tonight. We've been working on these, discussing these at numerous meetings.
Yeah.
And actually, the board, previous board voted to advertise these, approved advertising to adopt these ordinances back in November of 2019.
Yeah, there's actually an extra step, right, so the meeting before that, so there'll be a motion to advertise it, so you'll know what they are, then they get advertised, and then there's the motion to adopt, so there's actually 3 stages where it's not just like, hey, it's on there, it's being voted on. Now you're gonna add another stage that actually is putting strain on these.
Plus, it was the planning, and it was the county planning, so there's a lot of people that looked at it.
All right, I get it. It's just the conversation that's had by lots of people saying, I don't know what resolution to look under, I don't know this. I mean, that's what all the different
What
people.
I'm saying is, like Mr. Bickerton's comment, the reason I wanted to say that it's out there is, he made it sound like there's no transparency. I totally disagree with that. There's a lot of transparency, again, and he goes to planning, he knows what's going on. I mean, a lot of these ordinances are discussed and come through planning as it is. They get motions to advertise them here, they get recommended through planning, motions to advertise here, then they're publicly advertised before they even get to this step. So there's numerous parts to all of this that, I mean, I think there's more than enough transparency. It goes above and beyond.
Ted, did we explain
Well,
enough?
I understand what you're saying.
What I'm asking is, did Mr. Snelson explain well enough what the 3 ordinances were did we explain well enough what the resolutions were for?
Yes,
Tonight.
but what I'm saying is I'd like to know that before that
So
point in time.
remember that y'all elected us to try to handle this and do it properly.
Right, but there's going to be input that can be there, that's why there's public hearings, like the meeting that was before this. I think that's very helpful. The thing is, like, we got rid of the other,
Planning.
we've got,
There's public comment.
I haven't been to every planning, especially recently. So here's how this is going though. We have like, the dog park thing last time wasn't even on the agenda, and there was a vote on that. The dog park this time on the voting for the fencing and all that, there was no chance for anyone to have any public comment on either of those items, because both of those were not on the agenda.
It's been on the agenda 6 times, Ted, both last year and this year. I've had it on as discussion item, I don't know how many times. It's been on 6 times.
But I'm saying that tonight was the night when all this stuff is going down and everything that's going on. There was discussion between people who were here, let alone the people that are out there. I'm just trying to say that we used to have these meetings, now there's, notice that we had a meeting on 2/17 and 3/2. Notice we had a meeting on 1/20, 1/29, and 2/3. There's a lot less of times that I can go to a planning meeting or go to places and find out what's going on, because there's a lot of these things that used to be open in discussions to have stuff that's going, and the work sessions would be a discussion on this topic, and then there would be a voting session later on, and that's being removed by the way the process is being done now. I'm just trying to say, that's what I understand.
We'll look at it more, we'll talk about that in exec, because you make a good point. We could get this out earlier, that would be helpful. That being said, I'm sorry. I forgot to write you down.
Amy Burek, 255 Scenery Drive. I just want to educate some of the newer members on the board about the dog park. I'm going to address Mr. Rocco and Chapel Drive. That property was bought so that the building could be used for a library. No one knew at the time the grant that paid for that property did not include a library under the title of recreation. Now, I got the letters, I gave it to Andrew so he knows that I'm telling the truth, I'm not making this up. Joanne Beckowitz pushed this because her and I were big advocates for a library in this township after it got closed in the school district, which I can't believe the school did, but they did. But anyway, having said that, that was 10, 12 years ago. There were designs made to make that property other things. Couldn't use it for a library. There's a building sitting up there empty, costing tons of money, new water lines, gas lines, utilities and everything being paid for. There was some remodeling and work done on his building, and it's been damaged, constantly being damaged. There was new air conditioning and heaters up there, they're damaged, they gotta replace. Something has to be done, there has to be some traffic up there. Now, to address Mr. Rocco, I guarantee you, nobody down there where Ray's Tavern is going to go to Brown Hill Park for a dog park. It has to be centrally located. That property is not being used for anything. And if we don't use it for recreation, it's just going to sit up there again. And, you know, we got $1 million already to take care of that project. Nothing's been done. It just gets constantly deteriorated. Now, if there's traffic up there, it's going to help out. It'll help the security. Kids go up there and vandalize and everything. And I'm against going over Brown Hill Park. Let the county take care of that one. Grinzy Park has one right on Eden Park Boulevard. I don't know how much they spent. They fenced it in. They got lights on it and everything. And every time I go up and down that road almost every day, there's at least half a dozen people up there every day. Okay? And we need recreation in this township, not way over there, not way over there, so that this township can grow and get new tax income in to do the things that are needed in this township. And that's part of it. I was at a doctor's office and I told Andrew about this. I can't remember the exact figure. I looked at a retirement magazine, because they're all kind of retirement. You probably have them in your office. There's one community, and everybody probably heard of the Villages. It's about 30 miles from the Villages. They built either 10 or 20 dog parks in that. Almost all older people have dogs. Me and my wife used to have one. We can't take care of one anymore than that. But from where I live, I wouldn't go over to, I want to make one other comment. You were talking about cameras. This is what, cameras, so I don't know where you were talking about, Di in Boston.
If you keep going, then Jim
No.
Jones is gonna get back up.
But anyway, where we live, that one lane, I've had 4 incidents where people pulled out at the red light and almost hit me. I think you should have cameras at both ends, get their license plate numbers and find those two. He knows about it. You and I talked about it 2 months ago.
Thank you,
Constant problem.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fabulous experience.